The 20th of November 1992, Windsor Castle is burning. Flames pour from the roof of St. George's Hall. 100 rooms damaged or destroyed. 15 hours of fire. 100 rooms damaged or destroyed in a single day. This is the year that stripped away everything she had spent her life protecting. The fire, the honesty, and the ending all arrived together in this one moment. The fire It began on the Queen's 45th wedding anniversary, a day of celebration turned tragedy. Philip is 4,000 miles away in Argentina while his home begins to burn. In Buenos Aires, Philip is attending the World Wildlife Fund's annual conference. They have been apart on their anniversary before, but today will be different. The call from London brings news that no husband wants to hear. Windsor is on fire. The heart of their history is being consumed. He can do nothing but wait for news from the other side of the world. It begins at 11:15. A spotlight ignites a heavy curtain in the chapel. A builder's lamp, left burning during a tea break, starts the catastrophe. Suddenly, the curtain flares. The fire begins its hungry crawl up the walls. By the time anyone smells smoke, the fire is already in the ceiling voids. Flames race in two directions, toward the library and the private apartments. Andrew is the only family member at the castle, revising for his naval exams. He does not hesitate. He moves quickly to organize the rescue efforts. The naval officer takes command, directing the frantic staff to safety. Centuries of manuscripts and royal treasures are at risk of being lost forever. The rescue begins. A river of fire moves toward the treasures of kings. Staff and volunteers form human chains across the wet quadrangle grass. Paintings pass hand over hand, saved from the encroaching smoke and heat. Furniture, ceramics, and silver, the treasures of 1,000 years of monarchy. They are stacked on the wet lawn, a surreal sight in the rain. Every piece saved is a victory against the relentless march of the flames. The clock is ticking as the roof over the state apartments begins to buckle. The rescue The struggle to save the soul of Windsor reaches its most desperate hour. Only one person knows exactly what must be saved from the smoke. The Queen arrives at 3 in the afternoon, wrapped in a green mackintosh. She goes directly into her private apartments, now filling with thick smoke. Only she knows what must be saved and where it is kept. Her press secretary, Charles Anson, watches her emerge from the gray smoke. It was ghastly, but at least we managed to save the pictures. The roof above the state apartments begins its long and painful surrender. St. George's Hall collapses, a grand history falling into the flames below. The grand reception room is gutted, its gold-leafed glory turned to ash. The crimson drawing room, where she received world leaders, is now gone. The Queen stands in the courtyard, watching her legacy burn into the night. From Buenos Aires, Philip calls for news on their anniversary. 45 years of marriage, and they are separated by fire and oceans. The Queen returns to Buckingham Palace alone that night, exhausted and shaken. Her staff gather to welcome her, bracing for a shattered and broken woman. Instead, she shrugs her shoulders and speaks only of the pictures they saved. The summer of humiliation. To understand the fire, we must go back to the scandals of August. The hills of Balmoral were supposed to be a place of quiet restoration, but the tabloids were waiting with secrets that would devastate the family. August 20th. The royal party comes down to breakfast at Balmoral Castle. The tabloids are spread across the table, revealing 9 pages of photographs. The Duchess of York, topless on the Riviera, with her financial advisor. The porridge is getting cold as the shock of the scandal sinks in. The Queen summons Fergie to the sitting room. The air is ice cold. The Queen lists the transgressions, one by one, with terrifying precision. She speaks of the damage done to the institution she has devoted her life to. Philip makes it clear he never wants to be in the same room with her again. The Queen, characteristically, will not sever the thread of contact entirely, but the scandal is only beginning. Another storm is gathering over the family. August 23rd. The Sun publishes the Squidgygate transcripts, a new betrayal. Diana's late-night conversation with James Gilby, recorded 3 years earlier. Its release feels like a net tightening around the entire royal family. Her voice and disclosures on the tape cut through the pretense of royal duty. The Queen looks awful gray, ashen, and completely flat in spirit. The following day, the Queen goes ferreting with Philip and the gamekeeper. She drives off smiling, hunting rabbits in the long Scottish grass. For an hour, she is not the sovereign. She is a woman with her dogs. The scandal cannot reach her here in the fields of her home. But the reprieve is short. October brings a new test of her authority. The Glums. October. Charles and Diana are sent to South Korea to save face. From the moment they descend the aircraft, the distance is visible. Press officer Dickie Arbiter watches them, muttering, "We've lost this one." The British press dubs them the Glums, as their misery becomes the story. Diana is pale and drawn, barely meeting Charles's eyes during engagements. Charles looks like a man perpetually holding his breath underwater. They return to England, where the pretense of their marriage finally cracks. Charles arranges a shooting party, hoping for a weekend of normalcy. Diana announces she will take the boys elsewhere. It is the final straw. Charles reaches the end of his tether and makes a fateful phone call. "Don't you realize she's mad? Mad, mad," he shouts down the line. The Queen has spent more than a decade urging patience and hope. She can hold it no longer. The line she defended has finally broken. Both Charles and Diana now want a separation. The question is how to tell the world. Before they can craft a plan, a spotlight touches a curtain in the chapel. The fire, when it comes, feels like an inevitable ending to it all. The cost. The government announces it will fund the restoration, sparking national outrage. While the castle stands, it is theirs. But when it burns, it is ours. The Queen's tax exemption and the family's excesses are suddenly under attack. The Daily Mail leads an angry campaign. Let them pay for their own house. Support for the monarchy drops to its lowest point in modern history. Elizabeth has spent 40 years being a careful steward of public money. She acts. She agrees to pay income tax for the first time in history, though preparations had been underway for some time. She opens Buckingham Palace to the public to help pay for Windsor's restoration. The betrayal. December. The real betrayal comes from elected politicians. A leaked conversation with the Prime Minister shatters the most sacred convention. The Queen's trust in the political class fractures beyond repair. A leaked conversation about the monarchy's future becomes a public scandal. The palace is stunned. The sacred trust between sovereign and minister is broken. The leak reveals her frustration with the government's handling of her image. It is a breach of everything she believes about her role and confidentiality. The institution bends under the weight of political and personal betrayals. The separation. The announcement is broadcast live, the entire nation watching in silence. Diana feels a sense of relief. The pretense finally lifted from her shoulders. Charles feels the weight of failure, the end of a long and painful journey. The Queen has hoped against hope that this marriage would survive. Those close to her describe a stillness that had become permanent. Annus Horribilis. 4 days after the fire, she must stand before a large contingent at the Guildhall. She has a fever of 101 and a raw throat from the smoke she inhaled at Windsor. It is time for the Queen to break her own rule and speak the truth. The Lord Mayor's banquet at the Guildhall. It was supposed to be a formality. She acknowledges, with directness, that 1992 has not been a year of pleasure. She calls it an Annus Horribilis, choosing Latin to say something painfully informal. The Queen does not complain. But now, for the first time, she has. The speech is the pivot point, humanizing her in the eyes of the public. She allows the world to see the true cost of the crown she carries. Aftermath. The honesty of the speech shifts public sympathy, but the damage remains. The palace begins a slow, quiet modernization of the 1,000-year-old institution. Windsor will be restored, but the Queen will never be quite the same. The royal household is restructured. Some staff are let go, and Britannia is decommissioned. Philip returns from Buenos Aires to oversee the long restoration of Windsor. It is a project that takes years, his quiet contribution to their survival. The photographs from late 1992 show a face that has been through a war. The institution bends. It does not break under the weight of history. Survival and recovery are not the same, but the Queen continues on. She survived 1992, but the performance of perfection was gone forever. She did what she had always done. She continued. She put on the crown. She walked in the room. She did not show the cost, but something had changed. The world had seen the woman behind the monarch, not because she chose to reveal herself, but because she had no choice. The palace would rebuild, and the monarchy would eventually adapt to the new age. Windsor would be restored, every stone and every painting returned to its place. The crown is carried by a human being who bore more than anyone should. 1992 was the year the world learned the true weight of that crown. She continued, stepping into the room to perform the duty that never ends. The Annus Horribilis had passed, but its lessons would shape the future of the throne. In the end, she remained the sovereign, the stoic heart of a changing world.